You think you know Green Arrow? What if I told you that to really understand DC's Emerald Archer, you can't just look at the comics. You have to go back centuries, to the tall tales of Sherwood Forest. Today, we're re-exploring the hidden history of how the legend of Robin Hood basically created the Green Arrow we know and love. He's the Emerald Archer, the outspoken conscience of the Justice League, and the guy who's never afraid to speak his mind. Green Arrow, aka Oliver Queen, really stands apart in the DC universe. In a world full of gods and aliens, he's just a man with a bow, a quiver of wild trick arrows, and a powerful sense of what's right. But where does that drive for justice actually come from? While a lot of heroes are born from tragedy, Green Arrow's entire identity's look. His mission and his moral compass is a modern-day echo of the legendary English folk hero, Robin Hood. And this isn't just about a green suit and being good with a bow. The connection runs deep, shaping Oliver Queen's journey from a simple crime fighter into a powerful symbol for social justice. To get Green Arrow, you first have to get the Outlaw of Sherwood. The story of Robin Hood has been a part of English folklore for centuries, a timeless tale of fighting back against tyranny. The core idea is simple but powerful. A master archer lives as an outlaw in Sherwood Forest. Along with his merry men, he fights a guerrilla war against the corrupt and powerful, especially the villainous Sheriff of Nottingham. But the one thing that made Robin Hood an icon is his famous mission: rob from the rich and give to the poor. This idea turned him from a common thief into a folk hero, a true champion for the people. The earliest ballads actually describe him as a yeoman, a commoner, not a displaced nobleman, which is a detail that came into the legend later. But no matter his status, his goal was always the same: finding justice in a world that was systemically unfair. Robin Hood is the classic noble outlaw, someone who breaks the law not for himself but to fix its injustices. His actions, while technically crimes, are seen as morally right because they target a corrupt system and help those who are suffering. It raises a fascinating question. Is it wrong to break the law when the law itself is protecting wicked people? This very question, first asked in the forests of medieval England, would become the heart of another archer's code centuries later. When Green Arrow first swung into the pages of More Fun Comics number 73 in November 1941, the Robin Hood connection was impossible to miss. Created by writer Mort Weisinger and artist George Papp, Oliver Queen was a rich adventurer and master archer who fought crime with his sidekick Speedy. Weisinger even admitted he imagined Green Arrow as a streamlined Robin Hood. The nickname Emerald Archer was another obvious nod to the hero of Sherwood Forest. But in those early years, the similarities were mostly just for show. The deeper philosophical link was buried under the massive influence of another hero, Batman. In the Golden Age, Green Arrow was basically a Batman knockoff. Like Bruce Wayne, Oliver Queen was a billionaire playboy using his cash to play vigilante. He had an arrow cave just like the Batcave and an arrow car instead of a Batmobile. For almost 30 years, Green Arrow was just a side character in the DC universe, an archer version of the Dark Knight who never quite found his own identity. The revolutionary spirit of Robin Hood, the part that really mattered, was completely missing. This rich guy fighting street-level thugs was a far cry from the outlaw who stood up for the poor. For Green Arrow to truly become Robin Hood's successor, he was going to have to lose it all. The real transformation of Green Arrow began in 1969. This is when the character finally found his voice. And that voice was angry. It started when artist Neil Adams gave Oliver Queen his iconic Van Dyke beard, giving him a sharp new look. But the change was much more than just cosmetic. Writer Dennis O'Neil took that new look and tore down everything that made Oliver Queen who he was. In Justice League of America number 75, Oliver Queen loses his entire fortune to a crooked business partner who frames him for a financial crime. Losing his money was the best thing that ever happened to him. No longer living in a mansion, Ali moved into a small apartment in the inner city with his girlfriend, Black Canary. For the first time, he was forced to see the real-world injustices he'd been blind to: poverty, racism, and corruption. He became an outspoken advocate for the little guy, a fiery political radical who wasn't afraid to challenge anyone, not even his fellow superheroes. This all led to the groundbreaking Green Lantern Green Arrow series. In it, the two hard-traveling heroes journeyed across America. tackling real issues like pollution, corporate greed, and systemic racism. Green Arrow became the passionate, often angry conscience of the DC universe, constantly arguing with the more the book, Green Lantern, Hal Jordan. The series even featured a shocking and powerful storyline where Green Arrow's sidekick, Speedy, became addicted to heroin, a raw look at a real-world crisis that was unheard of in comics at the time. This was no longer a billionaire playing dress-up. This was a man forged by loss, using his anger and his skills to fight for those who couldn't fight for themselves. He had finally stopped being a Batman clone and had fully embraced the spirit of Robin Hood. A hero's code is what truly defines them, and Green Arrow S is a mix of two powerful forces: the social justice ideals of Robin Hood and the brutal survival experience from his origin story. This combination creates a hero who is both an idealist and a realist, fighting not just criminals but injustice itself. A huge part of his code has traditionally been a strict no-kill rule. Much like Batman, Oliver believed that taking a life was a line he could never cross. His incredible archery skill allowed him to take down enemies with pinpoint precision, using trick arrows from nets to boxing gloves to avoid a fatal shot. This restraint separated him from the criminals he fought. But that rule has been broken. In the gritty 1987 series The Longbow Hunters by Mike Grell, after Black Canary is captured and brutally tortured, a vengeful Oliver hunts down her attacker and kills him without a second thought. This was a dark turn for the character, showing that his code, while strong, was not unbreakable when pushed to its limit. The other half of his code comes from his famous origin story, first laid out in Adventure Comics number 256 by writer France Herron and legendary artist Jack Kirby, shipwrecked on the remote Starfish Island. The spoiled playboy Oliver Queen had to learn to survive. He made a crude bow and arrow, taught himself to hunt, and stripped away everything he used to be. The island was a crucible that forged him into a weapon and gave him a real purpose. When he finally escaped by taking down a group of pirates, he returned to civilization as a changed man, a hunter, a survivor, and a hero. When you combine the island-forged survivor with the Robin Hood-inspired crusader, you get the Green Arrow we know today. He's a man who questions authority at every turn because he knows that the law isn't always the same as justice. His mission is to protect the vulnerable and be a voice for the voiceless. That is the Archer's Code, a radical belief in justice for the common person. Backed by the deadly skill and unbreakable will of a man who has survived the absolute worst. From a simple arrow-themed Batman clone, Green Arrow has traveled through decades of comic book history to become one of DC's most compelling heroes. It was by losing his fortune and being forced to see the world for what it really is that Oliver Queen finally became the modern embodiment of Robin Hood. The ancient legend gave him more than a costume and a weapon. It gave him a soul. The core idea of fighting a corrupt system and championing the poor against the greed of the rich is what drives Oliver Queen. The island gave him the skills to fight, but Sherwood Forest gave him a reason to. He is living proof that a legend from the 14th century can still shape a hero for today. Green Arrow isn't just an archer. He's a symbol that sometimes true justice requires a rebel with a cause. What do you think about Green Arrow's deep connection to Robin Hood? Are there other heroes you see as modern versions of old legends? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. Thanks for watching.